It was supposed to be a warm day. Christmas lights were glowing softly around the living room, the scent of roasted chicken filled the house, and holiday music played gently from the old speaker near the fireplace. On the surface, everything looked perfect. But inside me, something felt wrong. My father hadn't spoken to me properly for weeks. My mother looked nervous every time he entered the room. I thought maybe it was stress, maybe he was dealing with something at work. I tried not to think the worst. Dinner began quietly. My mom placed the dishes gently on the table. Mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, gravy, and the chicken that had been cooking since morning. She tried to smile at me, but her eyes were sad. My father sat down heavily, not looking at either of us. We ate in silence for several minutes. Then, suddenly, my father slammed his fork onto the plate. The sound echoed through the room. He stared at me with cold, sharp eyes. And then he said the sentence that would change the next years of my life. At midnight, I quietly packed my things. A backpack with 3 shirts, 1 pair of jeans, a notebook I'd been writing ideas in for years, and my phone charger. That was all I had. I looked around my room one last time. The posters on the wall, the books I bought secondhand, the lamp with a broken switch, all of it carried memories. But memories couldn't keep me warm. Memories couldn't pay rent. Memories couldn't change what my father said. I opened the front door slowly. The cold winter air slapped my face. Snowflakes fell in silence, covering the streets like a white blanket. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. And for the first time in my life, I had no place to go. I walked for nearly an hour through the freezing streets, my hands numb, my feet wet from the snow melting through my shoes. Every breath felt like sharp glass in my chest. I sat down on a bench at a bus stop. There was no bus coming, it was too late. But I needed somewhere to sit, somewhere to think. My father's voice echoed again and again in my mind. "You're a burden, you're a burden, you're a burden." I cried silently, but somewhere, deep inside that pain, something began to burn. Not anger, not hatred, strength. A voice inside me whispered, "This is not how your story ends." The next days were the hardest days of my life. I found a temporary shelter, just a small room with metal bunk beds and thin blankets. It wasn't comfortable, but it was warm, and right now warmth was everything. Every morning, I woke up before sunrise and walked across the city searching for jobs. I asked at restaurants, shops, gas stations, delivery services, anywhere that had a "Help Wanted" sign. And every day, I heard the same things. "We're full. We need someone with experience. Maybe next month." "No, sorry." Each rejection felt like a new slap in the face. But I kept going. At night, when everyone else at the shelter slept, I wrote in my notebook. I wrote my fears, my dreams, my ideas, my goals. One night, I wrote something that became the motto of my new life. Pain is the price of growth. One morning, when I was exhausted and close to giving up, I walked past a small cafe on a quiet street. The sign on the door said, "Part-time help needed." I almost didn't go inside. I was tired of hearing no. But something pushed me. I opened the door. A warm smell of coffee and cinnamon filled the air. Behind the counter, an older woman with silver hair and kind eyes was washing mugs. She looked up. "Good morning, dear. Can I help you?" I swallowed nervously. I'm looking for work. Anything. I can clean, carry, serve, anything." She studied me for a moment. It felt like she saw more than my worn-out clothes and tired face, she saw my hunger to survive. "My name is Laura," she said. "Come tomorrow morning at 6. Let's see how you work." I nodded gratefully. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I arrived 15 minutes early. Laura handed me an apron and pointed to the tables. I worked like I'd never worked before. I cleaned floors, washed dishes, served customers, wiped counters, carried boxes, sorted supplies. I didn't stop for a second. At the end of the shift, Laura walked up to me. "You work harder than most young people I've hired. If you want the job, it's yours." Hope flooded my chest. For the first time in weeks, I felt alive. I worked at the cafe every day. Early mornings, late evenings, double shifts when possible. And I saved every dollar. Laura treated me like a human being, with respect, with kindness. She asked about my life, my dreams, my plans. She didn't know I had no home at first. When she found out, she offered longer shifts so I could save more. After 2 months, I had enough money to rent a tiny room. Small, but mine. Barely furnished, but mine. Every night after work, I studied. I watched free online courses about business, marketing, communication, leadership, productivity, and digital tools. I wrote new goals in my notebook. My life changed slowly, quietly, day by day. After a year, I was promoted at the cafe. I became a shift manager. I supervised other employees, helped with inventory, organized schedules, even handled customer complaints. But the biggest change came when a customer named Kevin came in. He owned a small clothing shop. One day, he complained that business was slow. I didn't know much, but I had been studying marketing for months. So I gave him a few simple suggestions about social media, online presence, and promotions. He tried them. A week later, he came back excited. "You helped me more than the person I paid last month. How much do I owe you?" I shook my head. Nothing. But he insisted. He paid me anyway. That was the first money I ever earned from knowledge, not physical labor. Soon, 2 more shop owners came to me because Kevin recommended me. Then 5, then 10. In less than 6 months, I was running a small freelance marketing service. And I wasn't struggling anymore. In the next 2 years, I registered a small digital agency. I hired 2 assistants. I rented a small office. I got bigger clients. My income tripled. I paid off debts. I bought new clothes. I traveled for the first time. I upgraded my life completely. Sometimes at night, sitting on my office chair, I thought about the boy who walked into the snow on Christmas night. The boy who had no home, no money, no support, and I thanked him, because he didn't give up. One December morning, almost 3 years after that terrible night, my phone rang. It was my father. I froze. I hadn't spoken to him since the day he kicked me out. His voice was quiet, weak. "Son, can we talk?" A part of me didn't want to. A part of me still carried the scars. But a stronger part of me wanted closure. "Okay," I said. He invited me to the house. When I arrived, everything felt smaller than before. My mom hugged me tightly, crying. My father stood in the living room. His hands were shaking. "I was wrong," he said quietly. "I didn't believe in you. I thought pushing you away would force you to grow up, but I hurt you. I failed you." I didn't speak. I waited. "You became successful without us. You became everything I thought you couldn't. And I'm proud of you." His voice broke, and for the first time in my life, I saw him cry. I realized something important. He wasn't a monster. He was a broken man with broken ways of showing love. And I was no longer the boy he rejected. I was stronger. So I said, "I forgive you. Life will break you. Life will test you. Life will strip everything away from you until you feel naked and alone in the cold. But that moment, the moment you feel completely abandoned, that's when your transformation begins." My father's words didn't destroy me. They pushed me. They shaped me. They forged me. Pain became my teacher. Failure became my fuel. Loneliness became my motivation. And now I know, you are never a burden. You are potential. You are fire. You are becoming. If you are going through darkness right now, if someone told you that you're nothing, if life kicked you out into the cold, remember this: your story isn't over. It's just beginning. And one day, you will look back and say, "That painful moment didn't break me. It made me unstoppable."